Hey guys, welcome back. Let's continue with the fund transfer method. So last time, we have created the debit URL, right? So we'll be creating the credit URL. So what I'll do is I'll be copying this debit URL. I'll be changing few things over here. Let me copy this debit URL. Let me copy the debit URL. Let me paste over here. Let me change the name to credit URL, and few things we need to change over here. So one is the receiver account. One is the receiver account or beneficiary account number. The other one is the credit URI. Here we need to add a credit URI. Don't worry, we haven't created the credit URI. Okay, so let's go and create the credit URI. Okay, so let me go to the NSK Bank constants. Let me add the credit URI. So similar to the debit URI, we will be adding the credit URI as well. Let me copy this and just paste it over here. Okay, sorry. I need to copy this one. Copied. Now let me paste it. Paste it. Okay, so credit URI, and let me copy this entire thing. Okay, so paste it over here. Here in place of debit, change it to credit. That's it. That's it. Okay, let's come back to the transaction service. Let's come back to the transaction service. We have credit URI as well. Now we have both debit URI and the credit URI. Now the next step what we have to do is we have to make a asynchronous call to the account service. Okay, the account service is running on port 8082. So how we will be communicating? How we will be, making a asynchronous call? So we have a REST template. We will be using REST template to make the asynchronous call to the account services. Okay, so let me inject the REST template. REST template, semicolon, and let me auto wire it. Provide, and let's import this one. That's fine. Imported the REST template. Now using this REST template, we'll be making a call to the asynchronous call to the account service. So REST template dot put, because it is a request only. We are going to modify the account. We are going to modify the data. We're going to modify the amount in the account for account actually, and we will be adding the crediting the amount into the beneficiary account. So that's why we are using the put. Okay, so fine. So now I'll be passing the debit URL, and here we are not passing any variables. We don't have any other variables actually. So we're passing the variables directly in the URI itself. We don't need to do anything. Okay, so I can copy it. So this is for the debit URL, right? So once you debit the amount, so you need to credit the amount, right? So you just have to use credit URL. Okay, so the first call, what it will do, it will make a asynchronous call to the account services. It will debit the amount with requested amount, and it will be the next call. What it is happening? It will be crediting it will be making a call to the again account services, and it will be crediting the same amount back to the the beneficiary account. Okay, previously it is debited the amount from the sender account. Now it is adding it to the beneficiary account. Once we complete this process, what we have to do is we have to audit all these details. Okay, sender account number, beneficiary account number, amount, transaction is successful or it is failed. All these details we will be auditing into the transaction table. So I'll create an object of transaction. I'll say transaction equals to new transaction. Fine. Now we will be setting all these details. Set amount. First set amount. Then we will be setting the sender account. Set sender account. I will be doing the sender account. Transaction dot set beneficiary account. Set beneficiary account. I'll be giving the beneficiary account number, and we'll be giving the transaction status. Transaction dot set status. We'll be giving the transaction status as success. Okay. So there might be a chance of failing the transaction, right? So what you have to do in that case, what we have to do, let me handle that transaction. Let me handle that exception. So whenever we are making a asynchronous call to the account services might goes down. Account services might not be up and running, right? At that time, you will be definitely getting an exception. So you need to handle the exception now. So how to handle that exception? You will be writing the try and catch blocks. You'll be writing the try block. You'll be enclosing the entire code which is performing the fund transfer into the try block, and we'll be catching that exception in the catch block. Catching that exception in the catch block. That's fine. So at last, what you have to do? You have to return the transaction. That's what you're doing. You're returning the transaction. Here, what I'll do is return the transaction. You're returning the transaction. Here, what I'll do is I'll be throwing the exception. Okay, here I'll be printing the exception, and at the last I'll be throwing an exception. Okay, so in this video, what we have done, so we have created the Reddit URL, and we have used the REST template and done the asynchronous call to the account services. Okay, after completing the fund transfer, then what we are doing, we are auditing the details into the transaction table. Okay, so and we have added the exception, we have handled the exception as well. So there might be a chance of occurring the exception at these two lines, right? Okay, so that's why what we have done, we have enclosed this entire statement, this entire lines of code into the try block, and we have handled the exception in the catch block, and we are throwing the exception whenever it is coming. Okay, yeah, I'm done with this session. In the next session, we will be discussing on we will be testing this transaction service. Okay, until then, thank you for watching.